Welcome to our chat on relationships. We have Quan, our Vegas native.
Hi.
Who is the studio owner and is so graciously having us at this amazing studio here today. We have Billy Bob, a former resident of one of my favorite cities, honestly, Baltimore, Maryland.
Yeah.
I lived there 10 years ago, and I love it. Shout out to Sharif's.
Oh, yeah.
Best meal.
Yeah.
Seafood plate, best thing. I miss it the most, honestly. Who is a comedian and host here in Vegas. And we have my badass beauty boss, veteran mom, entrepreneur from Port Arthur, Texas. Proud Port Arthur
Man
girl.
of the trio.
And myself, I'm sorry, Stephanie. That's what I was supposed to say.
Give her a name.
I got to give her a name. And myself, Kirsten, former therapist. I still have my license. I now have a coaching business called Peace of Wellness. And I am a huge mental health advocate. So here we are today. I have a question for everybody. This is going to start us off.
Uh-oh.
Ready for this?
Questions on a podcast.
Exactly. So I was talking with my mom and my grandparents in like 1942. My grandfather saw my grandmother across the street and said, I got to meet this woman, right? Goes over and meets her. You know what sold him on her?
What?
Her chubby knees.
Whoa.
These thick thighs.
Her knees?
Yes.
The
And
knees
he
is looking
said-
kind of thick.
He said, I am going to get this woman. Okay. This was in 1942. They were in Texas
Okay.
for
They were into
lady-
different things back then too. Chubby
Right.
knees.
Thighs,
I've never looked at a woman's knees
chubby
before.
knees. Well, you're missing out.
Man, he knew what he wanted.
He knew.
Ooh, I can't wait to touch those knees.
Right. So, taking this example, I feel like it's something that we used to hear about more in our grandparents' era or parents' era, where two people would see each other, have kind of an instant connection and, be like, oh, that's my person. This is my person, right? And now I feel like what we hear more about is love bombing, which we just had to define for our gentlemen.
For the guys, we didn't know.
Yeah,
We
I
didn't
never
know.
heard of it.
Right. So, Stephanie, please tell us what love bombing is. Okay.
In my own words.
In our own words.
So, love bombing can be these like over exertions of attention. What do we say? Grandiose acts.
Yes.
Just over complimenting. But
Moving really quickly.
really laying it on thick. But that sounds like very nice and everything, but the difference between that and being romantic is the intent. So the malicious intent behind it, which is to manipulate that person into liking you, wanting you, thinking that this is
And
it,
suck
you're
'em
my
in.
person. You suck them in, and then the real you shows up later.
So, my question with this is how does a person in 2024, how can a woman, well, honestly, I guess we're going to speak from the woman's perspective, know that a man is, really there for legit reasons, legit purposes, and truly expressing like an authentic interest, right? Like, is a love at first sight possible when that kind of thing happens really quickly? Like, and I love you, I want to be with you, that kind of thing. Is that ever possible? Does it result in a long-lasting relationship? Or do you feel like there's always an ulterior motive there? This is my question for the gentleman. And do you know any relationships?
Gentlemen.
Yeah. Do you know of any relationships where they moved super quick and they're still together X amount of time later? Like a long-lasting relationship?
I don't know, but I'll say this though, right? When it comes to, I don't believe in love at first sight. I don't believe you see somebody and be like, "Ooh, I'm in love. I'm gonna be with this person the rest of my life." I do believe in lust at first sight. You can see somebody and be like, "Ooh, I want that," and I believe you can grow in love.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But relationships are hard work. So it's like you got to be willing to put that work in, even once you know that person passed what I would consider like the infatuation phase. Because I feel like what y'all consider love bombing really is a person's behavior during the infatuation phase. They're not showing you their true colors. They're showing you, hey, I like you, so I want you, so I'm doing everything to show you I want you.
Right.
I think that's normal.
How Quan feel, but
I think that's normal. Like, and I think like what we were saying, how it sounds like these are like normal acts, but like we said before, that's normal. But when somebody's doing it because they have other intentions or they already know that they're this, like for instance, right? A person may do all of this stuff, right? And then you find out that they're still married or they still have all this other stuff. They're doing that to cover up all of that other stuff that they have going on.
Okay.
So that's normal. Like infatuation happens, this and that. The thing that turns it into love bombing is whenever the person has an ill intent. Like they are not a good person. But how do we differentiate that?
How do women do right? And to say to our earlier point, like there's a manipulative factor there. Like there's manipulation there, right? They're wanting to really draw someone in and using these tactics of kind of being too good to be true, right? And how are women supposed to be able to differentiate this from a man who, finding the one, right? Which I don't necessarily believe in either, right?
But I think that's the problem. So many women are looking for the one that guys know that. So they're going to give them everything they think they want right then and there. But if it's too soon, the way women could differentiate that is you have to give it time.
Yeah.
Quit falling in love so quick. Quit needing the one. Quit, I need to get married this year. Quit those vision boards with the wedding ring and stuff like that. And you don't even have a boyfriend yet. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You want to get married in 2024, but you're not even in a relationship. You know what I'm saying? Women have these fantasies. And so there's a lot of men that know how to feed off of that to get what they want. But if a man's doing that too much too quick, it usually is fake and he's covering something up. A lot of these guys are doing it because to feed their own ego. And like he said, there's things you do. Like I know when I like somebody, I can like somebody and I'm like, I want to go out with this girl, or I can like somebody like, yo, I really want to be with her. Like I want to get to know everything about her. So I'm going to be a lot more attentive to her. But I mean, I personally don't play those games where I'm like overdoing things with someone that I don't want to be with. You know what I'm saying?
But you have
it's like
certain
we can
levels.
go to dinner.
Quan has tiers of interest, right? Levels of interest. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely.
I don't.
Right.
It's either I like you or don't. And then that's
but I feel like you
mine.
could. I think guys might be a little bit different. I think like there's the woman we might like be in love with, like and she'll trump every other woman. You know what I'm saying? But you like, I think I like this girl, and then this woman comes along again. It's like, oh, I don't. Like I don't feel this way for this person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so then you got to like X them out.
Do you feel like you have levels?
It's definitely levels too. Because
Okay.
I also feel like, everybody has a different love language too.
Oh,
you
1000%.
So it's like my love language is acts of service. So you can buy me, you could buy me gifts all day, and I'm like, that's cool. But if somebody else saying, hey, I'm gonna come and do this for you, and I'm gonna do that, and I'm like, ooh, I like this one. So like acts of service is what win me on.
Yeah.
So like, and I don't want to say it's a guy or a girl thing, but I have talked to some guys, and then I'm kind of like, well, if I just come in as big dog and take over the show, like, what was this person like not doing? And if they weren't doing it, why were you even still entertaining them? And I've heard, well, I was bored. Whereas like for me, it's like, if I don't like you, I cannot act like I like you, be in your face, be in your existence, like any of that.
It's not acting like, because it's just a different level of like I like them enough to go to dinner, we have fun, but do I want a relationship with them? Do I want to tell them everything about my life? Do I want to share things? No.
So
but we can go to dinner,
enough.
Yeah. I don't have those tears. It's just kind of like, if you ain't even right there, I ain't even paying attention to your ass. Get out of here. Bye. Why are you here? Go away.
But how do you know that initially? Like if a guy's inviting you to dinner, how do you know if you like him or not? You got to go to dinner first, right?
I mean, there's some things that you kind of know that you like whenever you first. I mean, there's some, but like you're right. Well, once I might go to dinner. I'm also that person, like you said, that I give time, right?
Yeah.
So, but over time, I do know that there are women who will still talk to a guy, maybe use a guy, still do all this. And it's like, I'm not even about to waste your time, bro.
Right.
Like, find somebody else.
But I think we live in the world of social media too and dating apps. So everybody has a list, a phone book.
People are too accessible.
Very
this
accessible.
is what I say.
And people are on
now-
dating apps. So it's like, even women do this. Like I have female friends
for
that
sure.
are on these dating apps and they have the guy they really like. And then they have the guys, okay, he didn't work out. We're not going out tonight or whatever. So I'm going to hit up
My B, C,
So-and-so.
D,
A,
E,
B, C, D, E. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got
I really
all
think
these
that's
options.
my problem and something that I need to learn to do, though. I'm not
No, you
saying
don't.
that what I'm doing is wrong. I mean, it's right.
Right.
What
The
I'm
right
saying
thing.
is that I'm not really able to juggle people. Like,
But I don't think you should be able to. I don't think it needs. I don't think that's how relationships are
Should
supposed
be.
to
You're
work.
just saying that's the
I just think our
common
society
thing.
we're in right now
Yeah.
is really
The
screwed up, and that's why so many people in relationships aren't working because you have too many options. So if me and you are dating and we're together for 3 months and we get in a fight and we're not doing good for a couple days, why do I want to be with this girl when I got these other girls hitting me up in my inbox? I can just be like, yo, let me hit her up. You know, and I dealt with that in the relationship for 6 years where we'd break up and she'd be out with another guy 2 days later because they were in her inbox. You know what I'm saying? And because me and her had a bad day, well, this guy's treating me good. Well, all he's doing is DMing you and writing stuff that he copy and pasted from somebody
bar
else.
is really
you know what I'm
low.
saying? Exactly.
So something I said to a girlfriend recently was, this was a conversation I had probably, nearly a decade ago with a college friend. Back in the day, if you broke up with someone or you knew someone and you guys parted ways, you never saw them again. You never had access to them again. You had to call a landline. Were you going to call that man's landline and risk the wife answering the phone, right? That wasn't going to happen. So
Star 67.
not possible then. Not possible back in this day. But now we have access to our past, our present, and anyone that we're delusional enough to think that we have in our future, right?
Well,
That's every
Facebook lets us
person.
know every day who we dated 10 years ago.
Well, right. No, but that's
Got
what I'm
Facebook
saying
memories.
is
Look how happy you were with this person back
Right.
then.
the sheer volume of people that are accessible to us now, right, is something totally different than what was in the 90s, in the 80s, in the 70s. You know, once you lost track of someone, you never saw them again, you know? And now we have everybody we used to know, everyone we do know, and everyone we
I
think
hate
we
that
could
too.
get.
It's like, just because I dated you when I was 17, why the hell do you think I still want to talk to you? Like, that was 20
You
years
liked me
ago.
before.
Right. You like me
Like-
before. And so people are so accessible. It changes the landscape, I think, of all of this, you know?
And I think it's also more in the open now. So back in the day, I think you can get away with talking to multiple
1,000.
women
Yeah.
without any of them knowing. Now they're going through your social media. Okay, you only had 400 friends you were following yesterday. Now you have 430 friends a week later, and you're looking at most of the new mutual friends are girls, probably from a dating app, you know? So it's a lot easier to get found out these days.
Right. Yeah. Because I don't necessarily think that cheating is more prevalent now, right? Like, I'm not saying that. It's just it was a lot harder then to even you could only cheat with the people you physically ran into, that if you physically met. So you just weren't meeting 20 people a week, 50 people a month, like the way that you have access to them over social
And then
media
with social
or dating
media
apps.
too, there's so many illusions
A
that
lot
are
of
going on.
illusions.
So
Wow.
back
Social
to like,
media is a big illusion.
yeah,
I mean,
back to what
everything's
Quan
an
was
illusion.
ultimate
saying
illusion.
about, the ex-girlfriend or whatever, when it's like, when things are going bad, then you have this person that's over here, like, stroking your ego, wherever the case may be. But it's like, that guy doesn't know how effed up you are to the guy that you're actually with.
Yeah.
All he knows is what you're showing him, and then all you know is what he's showing you. So you both are living in this like
On your
fantasy
best
world.
behavior.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's why she would always come back, because she knew like those guys are worse than whatever she thought our problems were.
And it's like,
And it's just a big circle.
I think it boils down to what kind of questions are being asked on these dates. You know what I'm saying? Like, do y'all as women judge men by the questions they ask on the date? Because I feel
By the
like
questions?
And did everyone say their status? Because you're the only one married,
Yeah, I'm
right?
the
I'm
only
not
one
sure if we
married.
talked about that
he's
before.
the only
Yeah,
one
we
that
have,
is
yeah.
married.
And you
Formerly married.
Formerly married.
And you've never been married. I've never been married.
Never been married. Yeah.
My longest relationship was 6 years.
My longest was like 9.
Oh, that's a long time.
Yeah.
And I was married for 10
Most of my
years.
20s,
Okay.
yeah. So we've been in it, guys.
Wait, I thought you said
okay?
you got married at 26. That'd be 3 years.
So we were together. So we were married. Okay, we were married like legally in 2013, and then we had a wedding in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
Were you together before 2000?
We were together before that,
like a
yeah.
I thought you were only
couple years or
29, so like the
yeah,
10-year thing just kind of.
So yeah, we were together for 3 years before that.
whatever. Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha,
before we got married.
Okay.
Okay.
So with that whole kind of conversation, do you feel like, I mean, we touched on this, but another question I think that we see like as women, a kind of frequent topic is, do you feel like someone, I hate like the cliche phrases like once a cheater, always a cheater, right? So we have those phrases that are kind of thrown around, but do you feel like someone can have been a cheater and, you know, I think the four of us here are all really conscious and interested in like personal growth and personal evolution, right? So then we tend to kind of surround ourselves with those kinds of people. But so the question that I'd love, you know, to hear your guys' opinion on is, do you think that someone could have been a cheater, had cheated, but has matured, grown, evolved, and no longer does that, you know, no longer wants to do that? Do you know people like that, or do you feel like that's possible from personal experience, or, you know, the people that you know?
I know people like that. I don't really trust them that they wouldn't cheat.
I don't really trust them.
But, you know, they say they've been loyal.
Yeah.
But I also see how they look at women, or I've seen females look
You
at
see
men
other
in certain
behaviors.
ways where it's like, But I mean, I think it's possible. Like we could all change if we want to change.
Yeah.
I think it's possible from personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily that I know anybody. Like he was saying, it's like the people that I do know that have cheated, I still have a little question mark on them a little bit. Like, you know, have you really changed? I don't know. But for myself, yes, I have cheated before. And it also brings me to a thing that there are people who cheat and there are people who are cheaters. Like if you're a habitual cheater, whatever the case may be, like, you know, but I also know that in those, because I'm speaking for myself. So what a lot of people don't know is that I left my marriage because not ultimately the what do they call it?
Like
The straw that broke the
final
camel's
straw,
back.
yeah.
Yeah, was cheating from his side, right? But I actually cheated first in the marriage. Which a lot of people don't know, which he didn't even know. Which I only told him
right here.
Yes,
Exclusive
I
news.
only told him because he basically was trying to tell me that, and this is a common thing that people always say, is that women cheat emotionally and that they can't just have this, you know, physical relationship with a person and cut it off. But in our
then you're
situation,
like,
I was
well, I
like,
did.
you're
Yeah, I was
totally
gonna say,
wrong.
you said, well,
First off, you're totally wrong because you were
wrong.
telling this woman how much you love her and all this stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
And you were all in and you had your head, the girl had your head all mixed up. You about to throw away your whole marriage, right? But here I am, overseas, smashing this dude, acting like the Wi-Fi ain't working. And you don't know nothing about it. And this person, you know, I feel like they wanted to be able to like steal me from the person that I was with. You know what I'm saying? But it was like, I knew that I didn't want to mess with this person. Like, I don't even necessarily feel like I would have cheated if I was not like miles away and there was actually a catalyst or something, which the initial thing that happened was not cheating, in my opinion, because we had like gotten into it. This whole thing had happened, but
had some sort of separation.
He basically got in trouble with work and was basically about to lose his job for some stuff that I already told him don't do, right? So it's kind of like and mind you, he had cheated before we got married. So for me, it was kind of like, you know what? I'm sick of you. And I'm going to go off and do whatever, right? But
why do women marry guys that have cheated on them when they were dating? Because they'll always cheat again.
That's a good question.
And I know a lot of women that have done that, and it's never good.
You know, as a mental health coach, mindset coach, I do say that we should try to avoid the words always and never because, again, people can change, right?
Definitely.
However,
But mostly. Can we use mostly? Is that a good word?
Yeah, frequently, often.
There's
right,
not
rarely.
there's not really a why. You know what I'm saying? It's like if I'm gonna hold myself accountable, it's what I said earlier before we even started. It's like you're looking at what the situation could be instead of what it actually is.
Yeah.
Did that make it easier for you to cheat, knowing that he had done that in the past?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
She said it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, you know, for me, it was kind of like, this ain't really, I'm thinking we're going to be done because of everything that happened, right? But then we ended up like trying to work things out or whatever. But I continued to mess with this other person, right? So that was cheating, right? He didn't know nothing about it, whatever. But whenever I left. I never talked to that person again.
But that's the other thing. Women could cheat without anyone ever finding out. Men can't.
And here's the other thing, right? Men can only cheat if given the opportunity.
But
I
women
think
are
men
lining
cheat
up. I mean,
By who?
yeah.
By the woman.
Exactly.
The
Men
woman has
cheat
to, so the
through
woman has to be,
accessibility.
but a woman has to be willing to give it up to that man. You get what I'm saying?
Sure. Oh, sure. But how many types of women are there?
But
out
yeah,
here?
think about it. How many men do you
there's
think want to
plenty-
sleep with me? Like, I'm
There's
always
at least
able
5.
to cheat if I want to.
Yeah, but if
Right.
you, but
There's
if
no
you,
difference on
if you
whether it
chose
be
a
a
man,
man or a woman.
if you chose a man to give it to, right? Are you asking the questions? Are you trying to find out if he's in a relationship, if he's married? Are you doing your due diligence to find that information out?
If
You
I'm
mean
trying
like-
to cheat with him,
If you're trying to give it up to him, period. If you're single right now and a
if
man
I'm
say,
single.
"Hey, what's up?" and you say, "Hey, you know what? I give it to him." Are you doing any investigation before you give it to him?
yeah, I'm not gonna sleep with nobody and I don't know them.
Yeah.
So how do y'all end up in these situations where you get love bombed?
You know the
You know
people
what I'm
are
saying?
out here lying, right?
I know,
You
but y'all got secret groups on Facebook. Y'all got all these things y'all can do. Do y'all do
all
the
these
checks and
countermeasures
balances?
after the fact.
We have some safeguards for sure,
Uh-huh.
but that still doesn't, like she said, and I think that we would all acknowledge there are, like serial liars, serial
Yeah,
cheaters that
definitely.
do this. I feel like it's professionally. And it's like, for me, and this is a tough thing about being from Nebraska, okay? I'm really trusting. And I have gotten myself into not even necessarily personally and professionally, like having been taken advantage of because I come from a different place where people operate differently, And I say all the time, our blessings are our curses because I feel like I'm actually really good at what I do because I'm very open and very trusting. But then that also means that I'm open to being taken advantage of. And it's been through some very hard lessons, that I've had to learn in my 30s, which is rough because a lot of people I know learn these 20, 30, 25 years ago, And so it's, yes, in a lot of cases, it's on women to have the time, like wait a certain amount of time, let time pass, do due diligence, right? But there are still people taking advantage of women all the time and just flat out lying to
But do
them.
y'all have like a checklist that y'all go down when you
Not
like, hey,
whenever
before I
you're-
give him the booty, I want to see his house.
Not when you're
I wanna-
25 or 21.
yeah.
But what about
or whatever.
now? What about now?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely
Y'all single,
now.
so-
As grown women, yes.
Right.
But sometimes you have to
You say
experience
that, but
things.
there's
and
a
you have
lot
to
of
take-
women that don't.
Yeah, but
I know, but we can
those
only
are the people
speak
who
for
aren't taking
ourselves.
accountability.
Yeah.
You
Sure.
get what I'm saying? So yes, this person is not going to negate the fact that this person's a piece of crap, right? They're a terrible person. This is not and the other, but you can't fix them. So where is the accountability on yourself? Because that's not going to change. How do you, through a situation like that, learn how to not experience that again? Because you can't change a person trying to manipulate you, right? But there are things that you can put into place, like waiting, like taking time, like you said, asking the right questions. So for me, a big question for me whenever I'm dating somebody, because what I've learned is that people can do a lot of things for you. Effed up people can do beautiful, wonderful things for you. That's actually how people get to you, by doing things for you, which is bad because my love language is acts of
Here we
service,
are, acts of
right?
service.
So you could be a total piece of crap, but you're willing to do all of these things for me. And so I feel loved, but at the end of the day, you're not doing them because you love who I am as a person. you're trying to get something out of me, right? You have an ulterior motive. You have something else that you're doing it for, but not necessarily because, I really feel like this person deserves this, right? I feel like she's a really nice woman. I feel like she's loyal. She's nurturing. She's all this. So I want to do these things for her because she deserves it.
Right.
It's because I want to get what I want to get out of this person. So I'm going to do these things, right? So for me, I had to really start looking at who a person is, right? Not what they can do for me. Who are they at their core? Are they loyal even in their friendships, even in their business partnerships? Are they honest? Do they stand on principles? Do they stand on business? Right. Do they stand on principles that, that their character won't be swayed? They're not a person who's going to sell their soul. They're not a person who can be easily influenced. Like, what is their true character? Like, if they would do something nice for me or whatever, would they do that for somebody who's not sleeping with them? Would they do that for their mother? What is their relationship with their mother? Because the person that I experienced love bombing with, they did have a tumultuous relationship with their mother.
To who? Tumultuous.
They had a tumultuous relationship with their mother.
Words today.
Yeah.
You got to use a big word too coming up. He says, get a big word ready.
I would like to interject on that and say the person that I was love bombed by actually had a great relationship with his mom and spoke very highly of her and was always talking about her being such a motivating factor for him. So I really got bamboozled. I mean, I actually...
Did you see that?
I heard it over the phone.
Okay.
And so I do know that there was really there was a lot of love exchanged over the phone, and it really didn't seem to have any sort of negativity or tumultuous, aspects of it at all. But that's why I was really bamboozled, this was a whole thing. And a question that came up as we were talking about the last couple topics, I'm really curious for men and for Steph. Do you feel like you can grow to really like and love a person that you weren't initially necessarily attracted to or really had like that pull to? Because for me, someone that I met early in my 30s, I initially wasn't really attracted to him like as a potential partner. And I grew, like I got to know him and I actually was really in love with him. And so I think that that's super possible for myself or for women. But I'm curious. I hear a lot of people say like, oh, I went on one date, I didn't really feel it, and I never saw the guy again, But for me, had I just gone on the one date with this person, I would have never seen him again either. It was over time getting to know him
get to know
and
people.
His character and integrity, truly, that, over time, like I was really in love with this person. And
no, that's definitely possible. And I think it goes the other way too, where you meet someone for the first time and you think, oh my gosh, this is
really
everything.
like
and then when you get to know them, you're like, that was just an infatuation at the beginning. So it could work both ways. But I think that's definitely, that's happened for me too.
Yeah, people
where you just, you get to know them and like, yeah, this is a really good person. And I'm addicted to these toxic Latinas over here.
Right. Yeah.
Now we know Quan's type.
You grow in love. I didn't think my current wife would be my wife. Like we've been together. Next month will be 10 years we've been together.
Wow.
But we've been married 1 year.
Yeah.
December 5th made 1 year we've been married. And I did not think I would get married to her.
What made you wait so
Congrats.
long to get married?
Yeah.
Because when I met her, we met online, right? And I was on the time where it was a few years after my divorce, because I was married before, got divorced and said I would never get married again. So when I was dating, I'm literally looking for somebody I could just have fun with.
Not be in a relationship.
And because we have such a big age gap difference between us, she wasn't looking for marriage. She's
What's the
young.
age difference?
We 10 years age difference.
Okay.
So
it's not too bad. I feel like that's normal now for our age. How old are you?
I'm 39.
Okay.
So she's 29.
I feel like that's normal.
Yeah. So I met her
These
when she
days.
was 19.
Well,
I
that's a little
was
weird.
29.
That's a little weird.
So she
at
was
this
in college.
guy.
I'm
And she was
29, and
different.
I'm like, I'm having fun. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
and so was she. She wasn't looking for that. But as she got older, as she matured, she's like, hey, I want
So you guys
I
grew
want
into
more
that.
than just this boyfriend girlfriend thing. And I had to make a decision like, Dad, do I want to lose this? Because now it's been so many years. We've done so much together. We've grown
Yeah.
in love. You know
So
what I'm saying?
how long did it take for you to feel like, okay, this is more than just fun?
Once I got the ultimatum, it was like,
I
nigga,
was just about to
are you
ask
gonna
that.
marry me or what we doing? Let me go if you ain't trying to marry me. And I was like,
What year
Dad, do I
was
really
that?
want to let her go?
What year was that?
This was probably like 2018, 2019.
But so was it 7 or 8 years into it then? Or
Yeah,
6
this
or
is like,
7?
yeah, this about, yeah.
And then did y'all take any sort of break or breakup or
Nah,
any separation?
we've been rocking the whole time,
Love
all the way
it.
through. Yeah.
So what took her so long to give you that ultimatum?
I think she just got
Being
older.
22?
Being,
Are you
Yeah.
kidding
being
me?
20,
Right.
going pushing 30, like I said.
Yeah.
People feel like they
Yeah.
have to be married by the time they're 30.
Well, women.
Yes.
Yeah.
There we go.
Women.
Plus, I think society dictates what women want. You know what I'm saying?
In a
So
way,
when you
yes.
see other people getting married, you're like, ooh, I want this. Like if I look on my wife Explorer page in 2018, 2019, it's full of wedding stuff.
Yeah.
She's
Right.
looking at wedding this and wedding that. She, ooh, I want this.
I actually want to give my dad a lot of credit because literally my whole life he told my brother and I that no one should get married before 30.
Amen.
So we never
I'm
never
gonna tell my
had
kids that.
He told
I'm showing
us
this to my daughter because she thinks she wants to marry this dude she's been with for 4 months and she's about to be 18 next month.
you didn't
Oh,
start
no.
early enough because my dad's
I've
been
been
telling
telling
me
her
this since I was a
forever.
baby.
Tell her
Okay,
don't do it.
but he said
I told her I'm cutting off her ring finger so he can't propose.
I think that influences my dating as well, being married previously, because like you said, society makes women feel like they are nothing if they're not a man's wife.
Right.
Or they're not worthy of you're not married because you're not worthy of a husband. Right? And that can be a lot of pressure, and it's
Yeah.
so not true, because if you are not the woman,
And you guys get that pressure from a lot of women too, though.
Yeah.
I think more women put pressure on other women for
So
that,
when
like,
you
like
see-
married women
I would
than
actu-
guys do.
I actually disagree. I can't tell you how many, now that I'm in a professional, like doing business, right? I have my own business. I'm not in healthcare anymore, which is such a silo.
Yeah.
We're like cut off from the world in healthcare. Now that I'm in business, I can't tell you how many men care to know my relationship status. And it's like, well, why aren't you married? Why aren't you I mean,
But that's because
Why?
they're trying
They're
to like
probably
see
trying to
what's
holler
up
at you,
with
girl.
you.
but also
That's the difference there.
It's such an inappropriate
Yeah.
question. Like what? How? I mean,
It's inappropriate.
why
Are
am
you
I
I think
supposed
that's
to be
almost a
married?
question you
Am I
ask.
supposed to be married? Like, why do I have to be married?
But
Because again, I will say, as a woman, there's constantly messages that say you are not of value if you are not married. What's
Yes.
wrong with you if you're not married?
Right.
No one has wanted
Yeah.
to take you as
if
a
you
wife.
meet someone that's 40 and they're not married, most people are going to assume something's wrong with that woman.
Absolutely.
And there
I mean,
usually
I would agree with that because you
And
got to
that's
think
the
if the
problem.
But there
woman
usually
it's-
is.
is a woman if a woman is attractive, right, and she's single, the question is, okay, what's going on? Because like some man should have saw you and say, oh, I want this.
But do
is
you know
he
how
worthy
many men? Do you know
of
how
being
many
that
men
woman's
would have
husband?
married me by now? 20. I mean, 30. Like literally,
I could get
every
married
guy-
tomorrow if I wanted to.
Every guy I've
Like-
ever dated wanted to get married. I mean, so it's not, but it's me not wanting to do like have that because again, for women, I knew in my 20s and early 30s for most of the men I was dating, if I got married, that meant having kids, and that meant taking basically a like detour,
Changing
from
your
getting
life.
to, changing my life, like
yeah.
to care about your career as a woman and want to get to a certain place. I can't spend 2 years having a kid. I can't. Like I couldn't have done that and gotten to where I am
that time.
right now.
Yeah.
And it's so difficult to know that and then be a woman that's in my mid to late 30s and say like, well, it really fucking sucks that I had to
She
make
said she was going to drop at least one F-bomb.
Yeah, she did.
I know, no F-bombs, right? That I had to make a choice between some, one great thing and another
Yeah.
great thing, but knowing that it would greatly change the course of my life. I wouldn't be here.
Are you in a relationship? No, I know
Currently?
you say you're single, but are you in a relationship?
No.
No. Do you have time to date?
Yeah.
So
But I'd say it's limited.
Everyone
Okay.
has time to date the right person.
Yeah. I mean, everyone has time. Yeah, but it's limited. My business is in its first year. I'm just giving so much to it because I actually feel like finally I figured out kind of like the thing that I'm supposed to be doing, you know, and it's giving me so much purpose and fulfillment. And that's what I've been looking for really all of my 20s and 30s.
That's one of my dating questions too.
What's that?
Do you have a purpose?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's good.
That's good.
A lot of people don't have one.
They don't.
They
No
just out here
goals,
letting life live them.
Yeah.
And not even having goals, because people have goals for superficial stuff,
For
right?
sure.
Very shallow things or whatever. It's all good. You're ambitious and you have goals.
And those aren't life goals.
But
Those,
you have
those are
no
like,
purpose.
I
wanna
want to
lose
buy a
weight.
new car. I want
I
to
want a
lose
new
20
car.
have no
pounds.
purpose.
Yeah.
And going back to like, because I'm probably like the reverse of Kirsten, right? I had my first son whenever I was 21. So my son's 15 right now. So I had my first son when I was 21. I wasn't married. And it's like, and I was active duty military. So I wasn't just a like stay at home mom or anything like that, but I was still a career woman with a child. And I went to college, I went to school, I got my bachelor's, I did all these things while having kids. But I get what she's saying, because although I do feel like my kids motivated me a lot, I would never, tell a person to have kids early. You know what I'm saying? It's like you really have to learn who you are. It's like all that gets put on the back burner, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then later on you start realizing, what do you actually like as a woman? What are you actually into? Who are you other than a mother? What is your identity outside of that? Like, who are you? Or what is your identity outside of being a wife, right? And so I think you would agree, being married, it's like everybody has they romanticize marriage. They think they want to be married, but they are not even accountable enough to be married to somebody. They are not self-aware enough to be married to somebody.
Right.
Like, and everybody wants to be married, but they don't even realize what it actually takes to be in a marriage, And it's like you said, when things get rough, it's like, oh, well, let me go find another option. And it's like, that ain't gonna work in a marriage.
Right.
There is gonna be a lot of times where you're gonna have to face yourself. And I think that's
like the vows, for better, for worse, right? But everyone's cool with for better, but then when for worse comes, it's like,
oh my God. Because even in my other marriage or whatever, like I had a lot of compassion and grace. Like I totally understood like some, things happening this way. My straw was that when it was my turn to get grace, I didn't get any. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I can give you all the grace in the world. You asking, well, why did you marry a person if they already, was doing this and that? Because just because you was a piece of crap this day don't mean you're going to be one forever. And that goes back to the other question that I never finished answering about the whole cheating thing, right? Yeah. So I didn't tell him about this until years later, right? So in my mind, I had already forgiven myself, right? So it's not, I didn't feel any like guilt. You know what I'm saying? Right. I didn't really feel any shame or like, and also I had justified it in my head, but it was still just as wrong. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I had justified it in my head. Well, you did this and you did that or whatever. And so that makes it okay, but it's not, but I had never cheated again for the time that I was with him or whatever. So for me, it was just the reason why I was justifying it was because I was like, well, it was the circumstance and it was this and it was that. But really, it's that I grew up. You know what I'm saying? And I realized that if you get to a point to where you feel like you have to cheat on somebody, there's something going wrong in that relationship. And if your intention, and you have to know what your intention is for the relationship, because if you're married to somebody, your intention is to stay married to that person, what makes you think that cheating on them is going to fix what the issue is? It's just going to make it worse. Right. So it's like some people aren't comfortable with coming and telling the person that they with, and this is a real marriage. Hey, I don't like X, Y, and Z, this and that. I'm actually thinking about stepping out of this marriage because of the neglect, because of the this, because of whatever, and having a hard conversation, because a lot of people won't say that. They're just going to go out and be a coward.
And then they'll say it after you're divorced. You'll have that conversation. It's like we could have talked about that already.
And it's like, keep it real. Just be real. I don't never want to have to hide myself as a person or be with somebody who feels like they have to hide themselves from me.
I feel like there's fewer and fewer people that are able to have hard conversations. Because even as like what I do, I'm talking to people all the time about communication, conflict resolution. Well, that means a girl's got to be able to do it herself. Like I can't be telling people to confront a person in their lives that they're upset with if I'm not able and willing to do that myself. I hate confrontation. I sweat. I get anxious. Like I don't enjoy it at all. Oh, I do.
Sagittarius over here.
I know.
Confrontation. What?
Right.
I know. But the difference between, how I feel about it and what I do is that I'm still willing to do it.
Okay.
And I have to do it. And I've pushed myself to do it. I've had, hard conversations with my family and friends. And, you have to be willing to do that. And I think a lot of people just would rather avoid. Like the level of avoidance, in the average person right now, or like escapism is just so high. It's just avoid.
Well,
And
when I was younger, right? The tradition was to grow up, get married. Grow
of
up,
course.
get married, start a family,
The
get
Midwest?
a job. Yeah, that was the
1000%
Now we live in a society where everything's about self-care. It's all about you, take care of you,
Right.
and it's all about you and do what you need to do. And if you see something wrong in somebody else, it's because that's what's wrong with you, and you just reflecting on them. So it's like, so it's all these different things now. So now everybody.
What's wrong with that?
So here's what's happening. Now you have people so self-centered that they can't be in a relationship because they can't see past themselves. Oh, I'll talk, but I don't want to listen to you.
Sure.
I'll give advice, but I don't want no advice back. I'll do things that I want to do, but I don't want you to do things that you want to do because it's all about me now because I'm so big on self-care. So now you have no room for a teammate.
See, I have to disagree that that's self-care
That's
versus
selfishness.
just selfishness.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's being confused nowadays.
But
I think
it's being called self-care.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it could be being called that, right? But I've actually just been talking with a client of mine recently about, even in healthcare, I know a friend of mine who's also a therapist, but in a different setting. She does rehab work, but they had a whole topic on like the lack of empathy and like that we're losing compassion, And so I feel like that goes hand in hand with the increase in selfishness. And sure, some people are, calling it self-care, which is misleading because that's truly not what self-care is.
Right.
So I think that those two are being confused. But I will say that I think that people are more selfish or I even try to say like egocentric. We're a very egocentric society, which is, bringing it all into us, right? But self-care should not be selfishness. There is
Your
a difference.
self-care shouldn't impede on someone else. Like if
And it shouldn't take away from others.
Yeah,
right?
because it's like being selfish is when like, okay, I want all these things for me or whatever, but you also have to want all these things for me and do the things for me to get this.
Yeah.
When self-care is I'm in control of this and whatever is for here, it shouldn't take anybody else for me to take care of myself.
And I care about myself enough to try to elevate myself and care for my mental health, my physical health, my spiritual health. That is what self-care should be, right? Not I only care about me. I don't care about you as my partner, right? Like a truly healthy, self-caring person would really want to elevate and nurture their partner as well. Like those go hand in hand to me, So I think that that's more a
You were
misnomer
talking
than
about like
anything.
traditional and stuff. And for me, I just feel like traditional relationships are very codependent.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Cause it's like, and I was thinking this on my way here in the car.
But is that a problem if you guys are doing the relationship right to be codependent?
What? How would that be codependent if you're doing it right, though?
Because you're depending on each other. So that's what a marriage is. I always feel like a marriage is being codependent, right?
How about y'all define it? How about you define what it means to you and you define what it means to you? Because sometimes I feel like people have different definitions of
And
these
that's
things.
true. I mean, we can even go back to the topic about, because I think you said some men and people in general don't have a purpose
Yeah.
for their life.
Yeah.
So you figure if, let's say I have a purpose, but my wife doesn't. So now my purpose becomes her purpose. Now she's dedicated to helping me reach my goals and help me fulfill my purpose because she's like, hey, I don't know what I want.
Right.
So I just want to help you, you know? So what if you have that? Like, is that still considered? Do you think she
still has an identity? Like, does she have her own identity? Because I think for a person to truly have their own sense of self and a sense of identity, I don't see how we wouldn't have our own purpose, you know?
But could a woman's purpose be to be a wife and be a backbone and a helper for his business or whatever his endeavors are?
I'm not saying that's my situation. I'm just saying because my wife does have a purpose. So I'm not saying, but I'm saying, what if that's the case?
I feel like it could be, but it's like you're almost setting yourself up for disappointment because, like, for instance, whenever I say, being someone's wife isn't your purpose or being someone's mother isn't your purpose, because we could all be driving down the street in a car and get in an accident and everybody dies in the car except for you. And now what do you have to live for at this point? So no, you weren't put here to be, you know what I'm saying? Like just in those roles, you know, it's like you have gifts and you have talents that yes, are still to be shared with other people. But it's not necessarily that you're this role, you know?
And I mean, to be a multifaceted kind of like, you know, well-rounded person, we all have a number of roles, you know, and it's important that I think we all like pour into those they're just pieces of us. Yeah. To be a collective. Yeah. They're just pieces of the whole.
And here's another question too, like how receptive are women nowadays to constructive criticism? Because sometimes, like, and you're a coach, so you can attest to this, right? A good coach can always see what an individual can't see for themselves, right?
The blind spots.
Yeah, the blind spots. So if I come in and I see something in you and I'm like, oh man, this person got so much potential. If they just change this one thing, they would take off. And then I recommend the change that you make. Oh, you bringing negativity into my life and I don't need this kind of negativity. You know what I'm saying? So now it's like, ooh, well, what's going on? I was just trying to make a recommendation. So it's like now you can't even make recommendations nowadays.
Well, one, I think delivery is big, right? You know, the person's delivery of the feedback is definitely important. But I actually use this example all the time. So when I had my first job in Baltimore, I was there for 3 years. I was a therapist in inpatient psychiatry, fresh out of Vanillaville, Nebraska, and Kansas,
in a chocolate city.
And I went to school in Kansas, took a job, didn't know a single person in Baltimore, right? And a coworker, early on in my first big girl job, told me that I was a know-it-all. And I needed to take feedback better, right? He was not my mentor. My mentor never said this to me, but he took it upon himself to feel like he needed to give me this feedback, right? That day, I bawled. That was my response. Because I'm like literally 24, you know, and it's my first job. And what I reflected on is that, you know, I got hired and didn't really know what I was doing. Like it was my first job. So you feel like you have to prove that you're a good hire and that you're worth something, right? So that's what I felt like I was doing, was showing that, you know, you guys made the right choice. Like I do know something, right? But I didn't understand how it was coming off, of course. And so in that moment, it was one of the biggest and best lessons I've had for feedback, in that I think it's super important for all of us. And even though I don't 100% agree with him, because he actually acknowledged that he was a know-it-all and that I think it bothered him. Other know-it-alls kind of like irked him.
Yeah, they clash.
He was projecting.
So
No, they
I
definitely
have to
clash.
say,
I can argue that. I can argue that.
Two people can't both know it all, right?
There was a piece of him that's just irked by know-it-alls. And so, you know, he felt the need to point this out. However, what I say from that time on now, and it's been like, 13, 14 years, is that I really believe that there's a kernel of truth in everything that someone says to me, if it's not coming from a malicious place. So I don't have to agree 100%.
Right.
I can know that he was kind of like tainted by his own bias or perspective a little bit, right? But, you know, I said, you know, I have to take that in and like hear that and make those adjustments too. And I really genuinely feel that way and have felt that way for 13 years. Like that was such a pivotal moment for me for feedback. Because I am a perfectionist. I graduated first in my class. I'm very hard on myself. So I've never liked constructive criticism, right? Ooh. And so for him to say that to me, it really kind of shifted the value and the importance I put on that. Right. So for me in particular, I really value it, even though I don't like it, right? And I've made it a mission to find the truth in it, even if I'm not like that spot on. But in general, it's very hard for people to take feedback, you know? And I know that there are people that give you resistance. Like if you were to say, hey, love these 9 things about you. How about this one I'm not crazy about? And they will bite your head off, you know?
I feel like we can't always get lost in the delivery too, because we're expecting people to be themselves. So we want people to be themselves, be your organic self, but
be your best self.
Yeah, be your best self, but be organic.
Be your best self.
Yeah, but at the same time, be real, be who you are. And sometimes me and my friend get into arguments about this because he's like, well, I only listen to the message depending on who the messenger is. It depends on the source. And I argue and say, well, I don't honestly care about the source. Sometimes I just need the message.
Sure.
You know, sometimes the message could be something I was waiting for, but because I'm mad about how it came and who it came from, I get lost in all the insignificant things and I miss the message.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just need the message.
That's
true.
And
I feel like people will miss out on the message because they're like, oh, well, he said it like this and and that's another thing I could talk about with women too, because, when y'all get mad, even if y'all are wrong, y'all will find a way. I didn't like your tone when you told me I was wrong.
Well,
and I don't like how you said it.
Because you said women a lot.
I know.
And I really shy away from the whole women and the men thing. Through my relationships and through because I feel like whenever I was younger, I also looked at things like women, men, or whatever, because like you, I feel like I wasn't necessarily sheltered, but it was just the people that I was around just didn't move a certain type of way, women wise. Okay. So I never hung with women who slept with married men. I never hung with women who were just out here thotting and being manipulative and using men and things like that. So to me, I was very naive to those type of women whenever I grew up. You know what I'm saying? So I always looked at it like, even my first real relationship with my son's dad, like it was this crazy like stalker girl that he had that was like always constantly hitting me up, always doing all this different type of stuff. And I'm like, there's no way this girl is lying on you. Like, why would she be lying on her stuff? Like, this is that. But then he pulls out this file from same email, same messages, same type of stuff that she was sending to his ex-wife. You know what I'm saying? But the damage is already done for me. I already don't trust you because of all of this stuff that she's done, So for me, and then also even in my marriage, like everybody who my ex cheated on, like not everybody, but it was very close. Like it was people that had smiled it was women that had smiled in my face. It was things like that. So for me, you can't just say women and just men because it's some jacked up women and it's some messed up men. And I don't look at just because of my relationships. I'm not the type of person who's like, but I'm a certified lover girl. So I'm open to love regardless of what I've been through. I'm also a strong person. So for me, I'm like, I done been through all kind of stuff. I ain't scared of nothing. I ain't scared of no relationship. I ain't gonna die. Like, what he gonna do? So for me, it's like, I have all these questions and things and I have my precautions or whatever. But at the end of the day, I'm still open. Like, I'm not tainted or
like have your walls up.
I'm not jaded. You know what I'm saying?
Because that's hard for a woman that goes through a lot because usually they do get jaded and closed off. And, I've dealt with that a lot with women I've talked to that
because it's ignorance though, because you got to think about how are all this species gonna be the same. Right? Like just look at your life in general and you see that there are bad people who are women, there are bad people who are men, black, white, Asian, Hispanic. It doesn't matter. A bad person is a bad person. It doesn't just come from being them. And I think that's also part of the reason why maybe some men may find it hard to be more positive or be a stand-up guy because you have this normalization of not being crap or being a dog or this and that and the other. So it's like, this is normal for us, so it's okay. And it's like, no, it's not normal for you to be dishonest. It's not normal for any person to have to hide themselves and not be able to be their true authentic self. If you want to sleep with a whole bunch of different women, do it. It's some women out here that's gonna let you do that.
Some of it's trauma though. Some of it it's trauma
Definitely.
that hasn't been
for
dealt
sure.
with. So there's
Most
patterns.
of it probably.
Yeah. No, for
So-
sure. And
but that's where the
environment,
compassion
you know?
comes in too. Like whenever you dealing with other people, like I have no problem with dating somebody who has issues, but you have to be willing to acknowledge them. I don't expect anybody to be perfect, but you can't. If I'm saying, hey, the things that you're doing are, I feel like you're being insecure. I feel like you are, X, Y, and Z. Oh, I ain't insecure. I don't got no problems with that. But it's like,
That is a
you
no-go.
obviously have this issue with this going on. Does that not affect how you treat me? Does that not affect how you feel? Like, does that not affect your trust because of whatever else happened on? And it's okay to say yes, but a lot of people don't want to be vulnerable enough because of the trauma.
Right.
Somebody may have used it against them in the past, but you have to look at the
But most people have buried that trauma so much they don't realize that
They don't
it's
even
even
know.
there.
The person in front of you is not giving you any reason for that. Then you have to be self-aware and you have to kind of check yourself.
But then a lot of people are getting into the next relationship without being healed from the hurt and pain from the past relationships. I tell everyone stay single for a year if you've been in a long-term relationship. If it's like 2 or 3 months, that's, whatever. But if it's like a year or 2 or 3 or 4 and you get out of that relationship and you're back in another one, you have not healed from the pain and everything you dealt with in that relationship. And I've experienced that a lot with women I've dated. They just got, and I don't do that anymore, but they just got out of a relationship and then they say they're ready to date, but they're not really.
They're
just bringing all the baggage they had.
That goes back to when you asked, why did I get married? When I think back now, and this is all about, like I was saying, you have the control over you and you have to start taking accountability for, he did some jacked up stuff or whatever, right? But people are showing you constantly who they are. And you're constantly trying to think that it's something else. And you feel bad whenever you try to hold a person's feet to the fire for who they are. But you can't feel bad for that because it's like, you showed me that already.
Right.
Like,
But
you
a
can't be
lot
mad
of
at
women
me.
want to be the ones to be able to be the one to change that guy too.
Right.
So if he's doing his stuff and he's showing you who he is, women want to have this superpower where they're like, oh, I could change him. And if I change
But
him,
there's
no
men that are
other
like
woman
that
could.
too.
I could attest
A
to
little
that.
bit.
There are
So
men that are like
my
that.
first marriage when it ended because we wanted two different things. We got to a place where like, all right, you want one thing, I want another thing. So going into future relationships, I took that trauma.
Sure.
So now I'm like, even with my current wife now, like the whole time we was together, I wasn't thinking about getting married because in my mind, I'm like, oh, she's going to get to an age where she wants something different. And so I was planning for that. I'm like, okay, when she hit 25, we met she was 19. I'm like, she don't know what she want out of life yet.
Right.
She's going to hit 25, 26, 27, maybe even 30 and be like, oh, I want to party. I want to have fun. I want to live my life. And so I was leaving room for that. I never once tried to manipulate or force her to be anybody I wanted her to be. I just accepted her for who she was. She accepted me for who I was. And we just kind of grew together. But I feel like sometimes in those situations when you have that trauma that you're taking in, you don't leave room for a person to kind of express who they are and then grow into something more, because you kind of closed off into thinking, oh, the same thing's going to happen again.
I think now what I've learned is for my personal relationships, like with women, men, friendships, anybody, I want someone that's started the path of healing.
Yeah,
There is no like pinnacle to healing, right? We're never like healed, but I want
Because we're being constantly traumatized every day.
right.
It's going to happen again. It's going to happen
It's gonna
again.
keep happening.
Something.
But
You can forget, don't forget.
Yeah.
I want people in my life, right, to at least have started this path of healing and evolution and growth, right? No matter who they are and what they've been through. It's like, I don't want
And that should be for yourself more than you trying to get in a relationship to be good for the other person.
1,000%.
Because so many people are trying
We
to
just need to
change
be
and
healed.
like I'll go to therapy because I'm trying to get with this girl or this guy. But
I wish I had heard anybody willing to go to therapy to get with someone, because for the most part, I hear the people that aren't willing, and I would love to.
I get tired of hearing women calling men narcissists and all these different things, and they've never even been to therapy. Like they've never, you know what I'm saying? It's like, how dare you speak on a mental health issue when you know you have issues and you don't even go to therapy?
But narcissism is a lot more prevalent today than ever, I think, because of social media, because of how society's
I think it is
ran.
more
I think
prevalent. However, the thing that's interesting though is that there's narcissistic traits and then there's narcissistic personality disorder, right? And a lot of people, like as Stephanie mentioned, are not educated
everyone's a
enough.
narcissist.
Yeah, exactly. Educated enough to really even speak on it or what the difference is. And it goes with the code.
You can Google it.
Yeah, you can Google
There's an
it.
article.
You're a licensed
You can
therapist.
you can Google
There's an
it.
article. You know everything now.
Yeah, that's
Right.
true.
But yeah, even like with the codependent conversation, you know, there's a dependent personality disorder, and it's to a level where it impedes their function. Like, and so again, you know, people.
I'm gonna send this to my ex.
People are using a lot of terms and making a lot of generalizations. Like to Stephanie's point, I hate the like you women are XYZ because we are everything under the sun, just like men are. Everything under the sun. And so there's every type of woman, there's every type of man.
But they're all crazy.
Every type of white woman. I'm trying
There's
to
different
end
levels
this
of those
on
crazy.
a positive note and Quan's over here. But yeah, I think it's just important to really look at an individual for the individual. But it is tough to know who this person is when sometimes they're not being honest, but it does take time to get there.
So I was told this one time, right? And I want your feedback. I think we talked about this before, but your feedback on this. So I met a boxer at a gym, and he told me how, you know, anybody who works for him, and this is a famous boxer, you know, we were at a gym, and he was like, yeah, man, anybody who works for me has to come to the gym. He was like, I need to know that you have that type of discipline.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you don't take care of you, I can't trust you to take care of me.
Yeah.
So would you say in relationships or in dating, you're looking at a man's discipline? Like, are we looking for disciplines in a person's life to say, oh, you know what? I like his discipline.
I love this point because I think that is just another, like, that's another quality or trait, like integrity, like she's saying, like being honest, being able to exercise and show discipline. My God, how important that is, right? Because you see it in all these different facets of your life. The one thing that Billy Bob and I had talked about the last time is that I would be careful to assume that someone who's fit, yes, they have the discipline and fitness, but that doesn't guarantee that they have discipline or like good scruples in anything else, right? And there are still people that, you know, like have eating disorders and have control issues that are showing outwardly or on social media to be a healthy, fit, you know, well person, when underneath that, it's not the case, you know? So it's tough to just say this blanket statement of like, you know, I'm a boxer, I'm looking for someone fit, because at least they're coming to the gym and showing that discipline, right? But that doesn't mean that they're a well person. You know, that doesn't mean that they're an evolving, like caring about their growth person.
I agree with that. But are you, or are y'all like in the dating process, are you looking for disciplines in a man?
So for
all
me,
kinds, not just
physical,
Yeah,
like all kind of disciplines.
For me, it's across every relationship. I have the same standards.
Okay.
Whether, like I said, whether it be a friendship, whether it be a romantic relationship, whether it be, now, of course, there's some other factors when it comes to romantic, but as far as the qualities of a person, I kind of feel like I took a moment and really wrote down everything that, you know, I feel like I would value and appreciate in a person. And then I read it and I realized that is the only type of person I want around me, period. Whether it be a romantic relationship, a friendship, my kids, business partnerships, whatever, like lines up with these characteristics and these values. So for me, for somebody to be working, like overall health is important, but all pillars, right? Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. Not saying that you're there, but you're doing something to take care of your overall wellness. You're striving towards your overall wellness. So that's something for me that I would definitely look at in somebody that I'm dating. And just, you know, if you, I think ultimately it all comes down to really, you can't really know what you want in somebody else until you know yourself, you know? And it's like a lot of the times, And when I think about the group and stuff that we were talking about, and I'm seeing all these situations, it's like when you're not working on yourself, you don't even realize when somebody pulling you down. Right? Because you already down.
Right.
You're not, when you're working and you're trying to improve yourself and this person over here keeps making it hard for you, it's easier for you to realize it. That, hey, I'm over here trying to do something good with myself and you keep making it hard for me. Like, you gotta go. Right. So for me, no matter what the relationship is, that's the way I look at it, because people can be, they don't even mean to be, you know, and it goes back to the codependent stuff. It's like, how do you want me to show up for you in ways that you're not even willing to show up for yourself?
Right.
You know, and how can you expect someone to show up for you in ways that you're not willing to show up for yourself? So it's like when we talk about self-care and things like that, that's kind of like what's on my mind, but not, you know, hey, oh, you had plans? Oh, well, I got to do this and that. So forget about that. That's selfish, you know? And it's like, yes, I get it. But couldn't you be better at planning so that you can take care of yourself? It still, you know, has to be, things have to be worked out. And if you're not willing to do that, then yes, you are selfish. You're not you're not taking care of yourself, because you can't be taking care of yourself if you're destroying relationships around you unnecessarily, right? Yes, some people are going to be upset when you start to take care of yourself because they're not able to take advantage of you like they used to. You're not showing up for them in ways that you weren't showing up for yourself. So in those instances, that does happen sometime when you're taking care of yourself. But there are people who are just selfish. Right. They really are.
Right. And I really believe one of the reasons that Stephanie and I got to know her when I first moved here, like 4.5 years ago. I mean,
how'd you guys meet?
We met at
through my women's networking group,
entrepreneurship group.
Oh, wow.
And I think we've always had kind of like an immediate attraction or friendship or level of respect for each other, because we truly, everything that she just described, I'm looking for people to hold these standards across the board in my life. Mm-hmm. And I have a number of really like amazing friends, like female friends and female friendships, that we have these kinds of conversations all the time. She's pushing to be better herself all the time. I'm pushing to be better myself all the time. And it's very easy for us to
have good
celebrate each other and continue to encourage each other to hold out for that in our friendships and our relationships.
So you need to get a couple toxic people on the show this time. I feel like we're all like in a healthy place.
Right. Well, I could be toxic now.
Right. No, I think though too, and this is just to do a little plug for my men's group coming up. Right.
Hey.
I'm doing a series of workshops specifically for men, because again, women have so many outlets. Like, we find each other. I
feel like we counsel with each other more.
We do.
More vulnerable.
Right. And we open up, and it's easier for us to do that with the women in our lives. And men, in contrast, have very few outlets. And if you don't have a really good supportive family or a really good supportive partner, or like that one friend who you could actually talk to versus just, chop it up on whatever normal, everyday current event kind of stuff. Men really don't have that. And so,
and I think I told you this when we were texting back and forth, or voice memoing back and forth.
Love an audio message.
I'm grateful that I do, because I really do have a lot of people that I can open up to, and I communicate well too. Obviously, I do podcasting and have a million shows in here, so I get to listen, and sometimes I chime in on their shows too. So, like, I've been definitely blessed for that. But I do know a lot of people that don't have that at all. And you could tell, like, it affects who they are and their character.
And you're very willing to be open, which I think, is rare too. And so, again, I am doing this series of workshops specifically for men to provide that forum. One, I want them to be able to express themselves and learn something. Like, we're going to be talking about communication, conflict resolution, like those kinds of educational or lessons, right? But what I'm also really wanting to come from it is to create a community of men for men, because again, women, we create community just naturally. It's very easy for me to try to create community with other women. And I feel like men are it's not so easy or so natural, And so we have like the space to be talking about these things all the time, and we do all the time. But I think it's more rare for men, and for men to be holding other men accountable, you know, or really like kind of digging deeper into these deeper subjects or topics is rare.
Do you guys think that it's because as a man, you're supposed to have it figured out? So is it hard to...
See, it's hard for me because I
that,
grew up in church, so I've always been able to, like, we've had men's groups, so we, I grew up with that pretty
had
much.
the fellowship and the brotherhood.
Yeah.
And I'm the same thing. I grew up in church too, so I've had that too. But I also feel like when it comes to men, I feel like every man is almost like a king, right? And so every king has a kingdom that he's trying to build.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So typically a man, that's why I say with a purpose, typically he'll probably want to be in a relationship because it throws you off track if you have to break your focus from building your kingdom to go find some booty. You're like, man, now I'm distracted. So it's better for me to be married so I don't have that distraction. Now I can focus on building my kingdom and I have the support I need at home.
Yeah.
I ain't got to be looking for booty. The booty's at home.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
She's already there, lined up, ready to go.
All I have to do is be strong enough and have enough discipline to turn down booty when it's offered.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So that's really
Back
the
to the
focus. I look at
discipline.
men. So most men typically can't find groups of men that's like-minded.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
but men do normally have a small circle of men that they get together with, they fellowship with, and they do things fun with, you know.
Yeah.
But not every man has that.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like I feel like what you're doing with men's group is going to be great.
Yeah.
And it should be good for some men to come together and realize, oh, you know what? I'm not the only one going through this.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not the only one trying to build something and having struggles and problems then you could. So I feel like what you're doing is going to be great to bring community together.
Literally, I mean, I was doing a workshop for a corporate client. I think it was probably 2 weeks ago now. And one of the men, his exact words was, "It's so nice to know I'm not alone."
Yeah.
Like, because, you know, the weight of that, like the heaviness of that, the burden of that, it really is so heavy. And I think that, again, for you two gentlemen, you guys have a network, which is wonderful. And I know some people do, for sure, have cultivated that over time, right? And had the opportunities to make that happen. But I also know there's just some free floaters out here, you know, and people that have moved. Like, Vegas is a very transient
town,
city.
yeah.
And people move in and they don't know people well. And COVID literally just happened. And, you know, it changed the landscape for a lot of things. So I feel like we're probably needing to wrap up here, but I so loved this conversation.
I mean,
we could talk for days.
Cat Williams sat with Shannon Sharp for like 2 hours and 46 minutes.
It was like 3 hours.
Yeah, but they got 51 million views, and that's a lot of money. So we're not. So we gotta go.
We're not gonna get that many views.
Oh no, we're right on the tail of
yeah, right there.
Right on the tail. So
Maybe about 51 million less, but close.
But I just want to say I appreciate you guys so much for this.
It was fun.
We could literally talk for days. I think we didn't even get to all my comments in my notes.
We ain't talk about crumbing and none of that.
We got more.
Episode 2, crumbing.
Yeah,
Right,
it's
crumbing.
bread crumbing.
Bread
Yes.
crumbing.
I like crumbing better.
Right.
Yeah, crumbing sounds good.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Quan.
Yeah,
Thank you,
yeah.
Quan.
Thanks, Quan.
Dope studio.
Right.
We'll do an outro next time.